This is a quiet collection of reflections. They are not instructions, and they are not lessons. Nothing here needs to be remembered or acted upon. These thoughts are meant to sit in the background, arriving gently and leaving just as easily. Today, these reflections lean toward steadiness rather than insight. Much of mental tension comes from trying to finish moments that are not ready to end. The mind moves ahead while the present remains incomplete. When attention returns to what is already happening, effort often softens. Effort becomes heavy when it is constantly evaluated. When each action is measured, even simple tasks feel dense. Removing judgment allows movement to regain its natural rhythm. The mind seeks certainty, even when uncertainty causes no harm. Not every situation requires resolution. Some only ask to be experienced quietly. Stillness does not require silence. It appears when thought is no longer resisted. What is allowed often settles on its own. Focus rarely arrives through force. It forms when distractions lose urgency. Attention gathers naturally when nothing competes for it. Discomfort often grows when it is questioned. When it is allowed to exist without commentary, it tends to fade. Not every sensation requires interpretation. Much anxiety is borrowed from imagined futures. When those futures are released, the present often feels manageable. Reality is quieter than anticipation. The body often understands calm before the mind does. A slower breath may appear without effort. Thought frequently follows where the body leads. Progress rarely announces itself in the moment. It accumulates quietly, without sensation. Patience becomes easier when this is remembered. Control feels most urgent when it is least available. Acceptance removes friction rather than effort. Knowing where effort matters preserves energy. The mind exhausts itself by repeating conclusions. Clarity does not always require new information. Sometimes it requires fewer repetitions. Silence is not empty. It creates space for thoughts to loosen their grip. What remains is often lighter than expected. Urgency often borrows importance without permission. The mind treats them as identical. Separating them restores proportion. Work done with tension tends to last longer. Strain adds weight that effort alone does not need. Ease is not inefficiency. Inner conflict often comes from holding opposing desires. Releasing one gently allows clarity to surface. The remaining path feels simpler. Rest is not a reward for completion. It is a condition that allows continuation. Small pauses protect sustained effort. The mind does not need persuasion to rest. It needs allowance. Allowance often arrives through stillness. What is resisted tends to remain active. What is allowed often passes quietly. This applies to thoughts as much as events. Attention follows habit more than intention. Gentle repetition forms quieter patterns over time. Force rarely sustains focus. Calm does not remove complexity. It allows complexity to exist without strain. This is often enough. present moment rarely demands as much as expected. Most pressure is added in advance. Removing it reveals something manageable. Thinking less does not mean caring less. It refines care rather than reducing it. Attention becomes precise. Not every thought requires completion. Some pass through without needing engagement. They do not require residence. Quiet effort tends to endure longer than intensity. Steadiness outlasts bursts of force. This applies across time. The mind settles when it stops waiting for relief. When nothing is being waited out, time softens. The moment becomes sufficient. Much mental noise comes from comparison. When comparison fades, experience becomes simpler. What remains is usually enough. The desire to rush often hides uncertainty. Slowing down reveals that most moments are stable. Urgency dissolves when this is noticed. Attention scatters when too much is demanded at once. Reducing demands restores coherence. One thing at a time is often natural. Expectation adds weight to effort. Removing expectation lightens the same task. Nothing else needs to change. Silence between thoughts is not absence. It is a transition. Transitions require no action. Clarity often appears after effort stops pushing. When nothing is forced, understanding arrives quietly. It does not announce itself. The mind relaxes when it no longer tries to solve itself. Not every state requires correction. Some simply pass. What is familiar often feels heavier than what is new. Familiarity invites repetition. Repetition invites fatigue. Letting go is rarely dramatic. It usually happens in small moments. These moments go unnoticed. Stillness does not remove thought. It changes the relationship with it. Thought becomes quieter without resistance. Effort becomes sustainable when it is calm. Tension limits endurance. Ease extends it. Many worries lose strength when given space. Crowding them increases their volume. Distance restores balance. The mind often works ahead of necessity. Waiting reveals that action can be simpler. Timing matters more than speed. Attention returns when pressure leaves. Nothing needs to be pulled back. It comes naturally. Calm is not something achieved. It appears when striving pauses. This pause does not require effort. Most moments are not urgent. The mind labels them otherwise. Removing the label changes experience. Complexity feels lighter when not resisted. Resistance adds layers that do not belong. Acceptance simplifies. Quiet presence often resolves more than analysis. Some things settle when observed. Intervention is not always required. The mind softens when nothing is demanded of it. Silence becomes welcoming rather than empty. Time slows naturally. Focus does not require isolation. It requires gentleness. Gentleness reduces interference. The desire for certainty often creates tension. Allowing uncertainty removes it. Nothing nothing else needs adjustment. Rest appears when permission is granted. The mind rarely resists rest once allowed. Permission is enough. Attention deepens when urgency fades. Depth arrives quietly. It cannot be rushed. Calm effort carries itself forward. Strained effort must be carried. The difference matters. When nothing is pushed away, the mind settles. When nothing is demanded, focus remains. The moment becomes quiet on its own. The mind often tightens when it senses demand. When demand is removed, it loosens without instruction. Nothing needs to be fixed for this to happen. Quiet attention does not search for meaning. It allows meaning to surface naturally. Searching often delays what is already present. Many thoughts repeat because they are given resistance. When resistance fades, repetition slows. The mind prefers ease over insistence. Calm does not require perfect conditions. It appears even when circumstances are uneven. This makes it more reliable than expected. Effort feels different when it is not monitored. Unwatched effort often flows longer. Observation can sometimes interrupt momentum. The desire to finish quickly often creates delay. Rushing introduces friction that did not exist. Slower movement frequently arrives sooner. The mind grows restless when it is over-involved. Stepping back restores perspective. Distance can be a form of care. Silence between tasks is often overlooked. These small spaces prevent accumulation of tension. They require no preparation. Expectation narrows experience. Releasing it widens attention. What follows feels less constrained. Focus deepens when comparison fades. Without measuring progress against others, effort steadies. Direction becomes internal. The mind relaxes when it stops rehearsing explanations. Not every action needs justification. Some are complete by being done. Uncertainty often feels heavier before it is accepted. Once allowed, it becomes lighter. Acceptance changes weight, not content. Calm attention does not rush toward conclusions. It remains with what is unfolding. This patience alters perception. The body releases tension when given time. Thought often follows this release. The sequence does not need management. Stillness grows when nothing is demanded of the moment. Demand contracts awareness. Allowance expands it. Many difficulties intensify through anticipation. When anticipation quiets, the difficulty often shrinks. The present is usually less severe. Mental clarity does not require constant attention. It often emerges after attention steps aside. Absence can be productive. Effort becomes sustainable when it is evenly applied. Spikes of intensity drain reserves. Consistency preserves them. Resting the mind does not erase thought. It reduces urgency. Thought becomes background rather than foreground. mind settles when it is not evaluated. Judgment keeps experience active. Neutrality allows it to rest. Time feels shorter when filled with resistance. When resistance fades, time stretches naturally. Nothing else changes. The mind relaxes when outcomes are released. Attention returns to process. Process feels lighter without an endpoint. Silence often feels unfamiliar before it feels safe. Staying with it gently changes this. Familiarity grows quietly. Pressure increases when everything feels important. Reducing importance restores proportion. Most things can wait. Focus strengthens when permission to pause exists. Pausing prevents fracture. Movement resumes more smoothly. Thoughts lose urgency when not pursued. They pass more easily when left alone. Pursuit extends their stay. The desire to resolve everything creates fatigue. Allowing some things to remain open reduces it. Completion is not always required. Attention returns naturally when stimulation decreases. Nothing needs to be pulled back. Quiet invites presence. The mind settles when it trusts timing. Impatience signals doubt. Trust removes the signal. Calm effort does not announce itself. It continues quietly. Its strength lies in endurance. Mental noise often arises from excess choice. Reducing options simplifies movement. Simplicity restores ease. The present moment rarely resists attention. Resistance usually comes from elsewhere. Returning requires little effort. Rest appears when the mind stops checking itself. Self-monitoring creates tension. Release removes it. Unforced attention feels different from concentration. It is wider and softer. This softness sustains longer. Stillness grows when nothing is being avoided. Avoidance keeps the mind alert. Allowance quiets it. Effort becomes lighter when its outcome is uncertain. Certainty often carries expectation. Expectation adds weight. The mind relaxes when it no longer narrates experience. Silence between words is spacious. Meaning does not disappear. Attention deepens when urgency fades. Depth cannot be forced. It arrives on its own. The desire to improve every moment creates tension. Letting moments be reduces it. Improvement often follows naturally. Calm does not remove effort. It removes struggle. Effort remains intact. Thought becomes quieter when it is not interrupted. Interrupting creates friction. Allowing creates flow. The mind eases when it trusts repetition. Not everything needs novelty. Familiar rhythms can be grounding. Silence is often mistaken for absence. It is presence without demand. This distinction matters. The moment stabilizes when nothing is added to it. Addition complicates experience. Simplicity steadies it. Focus strengthens when expectations soften. Softening does not reduce quality. It reduces strain. The mind rests when it no longer waits for change. Waiting creates tension. Acceptance dissolves it. Attention settles when it feels safe to pause. Safety removes urgency. Urgency fuels distraction. Quiet effort blends into time. It does not stand apart from it. This integration sustains movement. Calm presence does not demand understanding. It allows experience to unfold. Understanding may follow later. When nothing is pushed, nothing resists. When nothing is demanded, attention remains. The mind becomes quiet by itself.